Greetings, and welcome to episode 10. Today we'll be discussing your everyday life and how there's no such thing as an ordinary moment, and what that means to you. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. So, no ordinary moments. What does that mean? That means that in your daily life, and you think, okay, I'm so spiritual, how come nothing ever happens? It means you're not paying attention properly. Now, to say that there's no such thing as an ordinary moment does not presume that everything that's glorious about life is always going to happen to you. Excuse me. Instead, think of it this way. Something is always going on somewhere in the world, even in your life. Sometimes these things are so subtle, and we're waiting for a slap in the face when it's just a little breeze across your cheek, and we don't know how to look at it. We don't know how to see it. Also, if you're in a place of expectation, you're only going to be open to what you're expecting. And if you're only expecting that slap on the face or the big huge billboard, you're not going to accept anything but that billboard. And if you can't properly speak to yourself, if you don't know how to talk to yourself, communicate with you, how is the universe going to be able to communicate with you? Because if you don't know what you need and or want, the universe has no way of conveying to you that they're trying to, hey, I'm trying to fulfill your request, but you left it kind of vague and empty there. So, here's the signs, but you're waiting for the slap in the face. Here comes a little breeze, and you didn't see it. You didn't feel it. And it'll keep doing that, and it builds up to the slap in the face. But by the time you get slapped in the face, something bad has happened, or you've missed the moment. You've run past the spot where you even care about getting whatever knowledge or information that you were looking for, because you're waiting for the big huge sign. And then by the time you get the sign, the moment passed, and you're not looking for the sign anymore. So you get this information, and sometimes it's like, oh, that thing I was thinking about the other day, and here's the answer. But most of the time, the way it hits us is, whoo, billboard. Oh, look at the billboard, isn't that cool? And it just completely, you miss it because you were expecting it and it didn't come in your time frame. And so now it's just a missed moment because you missed every little subtle sign that led up to that billboard. So you just figured you weren't going to get your answer. And this happens probably 90% of the time. Because people don't understand that there's no such thing as an ordinary moment. You should be looking inside every moment. I don't care if you're working. I don't care if you're just sitting there. You should be looking inside. You should be paying attention to your surroundings. You don't get to decide how the universe responds to you. You don't get to do that. Likewise, the universe doesn't really get to decide how you respond to it. And that's kind of unfair to say, well, you have to tell me like this, because then the universe is going to say, well, then you have to listen like this, and you have to tell me what you want like this. If you would like to have that free expression, then allow the universe to have its free expression. Because that's pretty much, that's your unique standpoint, is your unique expression. And if you try to pigeonhole the universe, it's going to have an even more difficult time speaking to you than if you just had your free expression. The problem lies in you not knowing how to talk to you, because you being a part of the universe, a small sliver of the whole hologram, the universe already knows how to talk to you because it is you. But if you don't know how to talk to you, it can't talk to you. You don't know yourself well enough to get what you need from the universe. It's not a horrible thing. I mean, it's something that's easily overcome. You don't even really have to overcome it. I mean, as far as you know, up until this point, and someone's pointing it out to you, the ask and ignore method works just fine. Either you get the answer or you don't. But you get your answer. You get your answer every time, and you're not looking for it. You're expecting. Stop expecting. Now, if the universe specifically told you, expect X, look for X. But the universe didn't tell you to expect X. The universe said, I will answer you. And then your expectations, you're projecting the expectations of what you expect to see for your answer. And if you don't see it, you just assume you're not going to get an answer. No ordinary moments. Every moment is an extraordinary moment. There's no such thing as an ordinary person either. You are as ordinary as you let yourself be. You are as normal as you allow yourself to be. These things, normal and mundane and ordinary, these are all, what's the word? The self-imposed. Somebody told you you will never do X, or you'll never be able to do X, or whatever, and you believe them. And so you sit and you'll spend the rest of your life never doing X, even though you can feel it in you, because somebody told you that you will never accomplish X, or you never be that person. And that's the death knell. There's nothing in this universe that you can't have if you want it. Nothing. Nothing personally. Anything that involves the decisions of other people, yeah, you're going to have a little bit of trouble with that. Because then you have to get everybody to decide the same way you've decided. And that gets a little bit tricky. So as it concerns your personal journey, your personal interaction with Source in the universe, you can have whatever you want. If you know how to ask for it, if you know how to listen for your answer. What does that mean for you? That means it's time for you to learn how to talk to you and have some really deep discussions with yourself. I like to say, sure, I talk to myself. Sometimes I need expert advice. Well, so do you. And there's no one better at being you than you. You can ask all the people on the planet, well, what's the best course of action for me? And all they're going to do is tell you the best course of action for them if they were in that situation. So you're really not getting advice on how to be you. You're getting advice to how to be them in that same situation. What would you do? That is what you need to know. And there's only one way to find out what you would really do, and that's to get on down in there and look for it. Ask yourself. Talk to you. You don't like the answer? Find out why that's the answer you came up with. But if you're going to do a certain thing based on the beliefs and decisions of others, that's not really you doing it. You're either in a rut or you're doing it out of habit, which is a rut. Excuse me. You're not really taking that leap of faith and jumping out there and doing what you need to be doing, which is what you would do if you knew how to talk to yourself. Now, I sometimes don't take that leap of faith, but that has nothing to do with not hearing the answer. I'll hear the answer and I'll feel like, well, I like the answer, but I'm not ready to go that far. I'm not ready to make that leap yet. But at least I know how to get my answers. See, if you don't know how to get the answer, you're never going to make any kind of leap, because you don't know how to ask the question to get the answer, to get off in the right direction in the first place. And if you're not getting in the right direction, you're going to be sitting around waiting for that slap or that big billboard, and it doesn't work that way. It just doesn't work that way. It's subtle. And it's not always subtle. Sometimes you get smacked in the face with a billboard, and sometimes you get that epiphany moment, and it's huge. I'm not going to lie. But you can't just rely on the big stuff. You got to look. The archaeologists find stuff because they found a little crack in a rock, and it turns out to be, it's not a crack in a rock. It's a split between two bricks. And while those aren't really bricks, they're megaliths. And now I found a temple. When a minute ago I thought it was just a little rock, but I took the time to look. Do you understand? That mundane, ordinary moment turned into the find of that guy's life. Why aren't you finding your life? Because, that's just a little, it's crumbs. Yeah, but look at the crumbs. Were they there a minute ago? What do those crumbs mean? Do they mean you're messy? Was there something you asked that maybe crumbs is the answer to? And no, I'm not saying that, oh yeah, crumbs. Let me eat a piece of bread real quick and we'll read the crumbs. No, that's not what I'm trying to say. I'm saying don't overlook anything, Give it a look. My table is messy right here. But I give it a look, and what do I see? The vibe is good. That tells me I'm heading in the right direction. Whenever I'm heading in the wrong direction, the vibe doesn't feel bad, but it feels off. And the vibe feels really good. That tells me I am doing right now what I need to be doing. And that seems a little, well, that's, of course you're supposed to be doing. You can't say that. Because some days right before I make my video, a little voice tells me don't make the video today. And it's not fear, because I love doing this. It's almost like someone's trying to stop me. Like they don't want any type of information out. And I know there's millions of places you could get this information, but you might relate to me better than you relate to them. And that's why I thought it was important. Because I noticed, because I'm a roughneck, because I'm not a certain type of person, that I couldn't relate as well to some of the more advanced teachers, and being of a decent, how would I say this, having a decent level of understanding myself. I don't claim to be at the end of my journey or an ascended master or any such thing, but I do claim to have a fair level of understanding. And it just seemed to me that maybe I should be teaching while I'm learning, because I'm past the fundamentals. I'm not at the beginning of the course. So all I'm doing is I'm supporting the teachers that are teaching the fundamentals, because some people still need these fundamentals. So, excuse me. So to me, going and watching the videos elsewhere, sometimes that's where you get your answer. You ask the question, you maybe already know this information, but you go to one of these teachers that teaches the fundamentals of these spiritual paths, and you might get your answer because it's something you overlooked, so you didn't think about it, and you overlooked it because you already learned it, and you're thinking, well, I'm in an advanced state on my path. Why would it relate to something I learned X amount of years ago? Well, because you're still on the same path where you learned this knowledge. Why would that knowledge no longer be valid just because you learned it a long time ago? So that's another reason why I watch, because sometimes we forget things. I've probably forgotten a lot of stuff that I've learned over the years, because let's face it, once you learn a truth, if it is really truth, it'll connect to every other truth. And then you can use that new truth as the focal point for the rest of your truths. So you kind of lose the particulars of the rest of the truths because you have this core focal point. Most people do it. I've seen it all the time. And we can elaborate on the rest of the truths while we're discussing it, but while we're looking at our daily lives and we're going about work and doing our chores or whatnot, you don't focus on the intricacies of the other truths. You only focus on that one truth, that new truth. And yes, you will get new truth almost on a daily basis. At least I do, some form of truth. But you're not focusing on these outliers until you have a chance to sit down and have that intellectual intercourse with someone that's on your level or coming up through the ranks that needs this information from you. And that's when you learn that you didn't really know it until you taught it to somebody else. And a lot of this stuff I have had the chance to teach to other people, but having this venue by which I can share what I've learned helps me. So by helping you, I help me. This is part of my not having an ordinary moment, because I sat all day stressing about this video. Because at first, I didn't even have a topic. I had such a rough last couple of weeks. I couldn't think of a topic. And I was thinking, well, I'll do something, talk about something that's happened over the past few days. And I said, well, nothing real major's happened. But there was a lot of little synchronicities that have just been holding my spirits up. And it was been a very high positive energy day today. And so I was like, well, do about mundane stuff, because there really is, if you're paying attention, there really is no mundane stuff. So here it is, my video about mundane stuff. So here's me trying to explain to you how also in your life there is no such thing as an ordinary moment. Every moment is extraordinary. Now, the really awesome stuff that happens to you may not happen on a daily basis, but it's happening to somewhere, sometime, within the space of the moment you're bored because you're not feeling the breeze on your cheek, you're waiting for the slap of the hand or the big billboard. Somewhere, someone's having an epiphany. Somewhere, someone is getting it. Oh, wow, that you know that feeling when that new knowledge settles in and becomes wisdom. Or understanding. That's even better than the wisdom, because then you're like, oh, wisdom, because it connects to the rest of the truths and I see it. But once you understand it, that is gold. That's gold. So that didn't happen to you today. So you just assume, well, it was just an ordinary day. No, it was not an ordinary day. You only feel that way because your level of discovery was lower than that guy's. Does not mean that your day was bad, mundane, ordinary. You just stop with the expectation of the billboard or slap in the face. It's not always going to be a road sign. Sometimes it's the rock sitting on the side of the road. But because you're looking up looking for signs, you didn't see that rock. And like I said, you're not bending down to read the cracks on the rock. Maybe it's the rock. Look at the way that rock is sitting there, and it just comes to you, or whatever. It's not going to be a rock. It's not going to be breadcrumbs, like I said a minute ago. You know for you what it's going to be, because only you truly know how to talk to you. I don't care how many best friends, moms, girlfriends you got. Only you know how to talk to you. And if you don't yet know how to talk to you, then now's the time to learn, because knowing how to talk to yourself is the key to almost every bit of this. If you refuse to talk to you, if you refuse to communicate with yourself, who else is going to do it? Because a lot of this is about self-discovery. You can't discover yourself through another person. I mean, you can, but only to a certain extent. Well, I see that in me. I see that in me. I see that in me. Now, have some open and honest discourse about what you saw with yourself. Take a few minutes out of every day. Well, I don't know how to talk to me. All the more reason to take a few minutes out of every day and learn how to talk to yourself. And I don't care if you're running around out in public looking like a crazy person talking to yourself. You need to learn how to talk to yourself. Because if you don't, you'll just miss so much. There's so much of life that's missed because you're focused on everything else. You have to remember, the subconscious mind picks up everything. You're only picking up what you're expecting to pick up in that moment, which means if you're at work, you're only expecting to see work stuff. If you're doing chores, you're only expecting to see work or chores stuff, or whatever else you're doing. When I'm out and about in the world playing video games, it doesn't matter. I'm not in any type of expectant state, so anything's possible. Anything can happen to me at any given time, because I am that interested in life and learning about life. The more I learn, the more I want to learn about what's here, what goes on here. Can't just be us. It can't just be about us. This can't be all there is to it. Everybody feels that, or you wouldn't be here watching this video. Everybody that's watching this video feels that. And I have this sneaking suspicion that the majority of the population of, at the very least, the country I come from, which is the United States of America, have these burning questions, have these burning desires to find out who they really are and their place in the grand cosmos of it all, but they don't know who to ask. They're scared to step out of their current paradigm, their rut, their habits, their religious habits, whatever. There's more to it, and I don't want to go around religion bashing, but yeah, that can be a little bit of a crutch and an obstacle if you let it get too far. Everything in moderation. I mean, honestly, it's a great place to start. It's a great jumping off point, but I wouldn't suggest sticking with it. It'd be like you start going to church when you're a kid, right? You start going to kindergarten when you're a kid too. You don't stay in kindergarten. Just food for thought. But learning how to talk with yourself goes a long way. Well, you're putting yourself in a place of God. I'm not putting myself in a place of God. I'm not putting you in the place of God. What I'm doing is that I'm empowering you to take responsibility for your journey here on earth. To pay attention, because that very thing that you're telling me I'm putting in place of God is the very thing that you call God. I could prove it scientifically. If you would like, I'll make a whole video that science proves God exists, and how God proves science exists, and how we're all a product now, that what we've become now in this day and age, we are a product of somebody else's opinion of what they think life should be. And that's sad. And what's funny is their opinion of what they think life should be, they don't even live that way. They just want us to live that way. It's like the, what do you call it, the neglectful parent that says, just stay out of trouble and don't make any noise. Children should be seen and not heard. That's their standpoint. Yay, leadership. Anyway, look for the moments. Relax. Check on the more subtle levels. Did I get a message? Did I get a message? I didn't hear a message. The fact that you're even looking for a message says that that's not an ordinary moment. The fact that you're looking. The whole process started because you started looking for something, right? The fact that you're still looking and not just waiting idly by for a sign, that says something. That says that can't be an ordinary moment, because obviously you know there's something to be found in that moment and you're looking for it. And just because you didn't find it doesn't make that an ordinary moment. You may have missed it, you may have overlooked it, but it was there and you knew enough to look for it. You knew enough that there was an absence of something that you were looking for it in the first place. Don't stop looking. Just stop presupposing that it's going to be a billboard, because it's not always going to be that way. And that is fine. It doesn't have to be, because now you know. Everything, from the crumbs to the rocks to the way the wind blows around in your house. Everything. How are your pets acting today? Maybe they have something that you need. Maybe they have some information you need to get from them. And maybe they can't speak English, but they can communicate just fine. I have never had a problem communicating with animals, ever. Just because their vocal cords don't allow for speech as we know it, they talk. And if you know how to talk to you, then you know how to talk to them. They speak in feeling and picture. They project the picture and the associated feeling. And you can do the same. They don't name the picture. And see, that's where we go wrong in naming everything. Well, that's a car. And now you have to teach them what a car is and where the word car came from. Well, why do you call it a car? Just to project the image of the vehicle and project the feeling it gives you. And they're going to know. Either we're going for a ride or you're going for a ride. And the last time I went for a ride, I got my balls cut off. So I'm going to stay here. That's what the dog's thinking. Or the cat, for that matter. Anyway, but you get the idea. If you can talk to yourself, you can talk to anything. There's only one language in the known universe. Some creatures have to grunt and snort to convey messages that can be conveyed just as easily with thought and feeling. Humans don't like doing that because we value our privacy and we think that, oh, I couldn't possibly have you in my head. But then the first thing they want to do is jump on the internet and put everything that's in their head on social media. What's the difference? What is the difference? There's nothing you can do mechanically, externally, that cannot be achieved inside. Anyway. And that's another thing. How are you on social media? Are you honest with yourself on social media? Not with your friends. Because you know when you post something that's disingenuous or out of character, you know it. When you're being false. If you have to cover up that feeling of, that really wasn't something I would post, but I'm posting it anyway. If you have to cover up that feeling, you're being dishonest with you. They're going to believe anything you tell them. Because half of those people never even met you. And the people that do know you just think that's a funny picture. Or that's a really cool picture. They don't realize what you went through. And even if it only lasts for a split second, that feeling. What you went through to post that. Was that really you? Are you being dishonest with yourself and all your friends? Posting things that you maybe shouldn't have posted. Because they're out of character and have nothing to do with who you really are. Or maybe they have to do with someone you're breaking away from. You're trying to be someone different, but you're still holding on to those old things. Who knows? But one thing I've noticed is social media, the internet in general, is a great place for idiots to hide and pretend to be someone they're not. Because they don't know how to talk to themselves and be honest enough to look for themselves. Out of all the people on the planet, the easiest person you'll ever find is you. And if you can't find you, you're never going to find anybody else. And I can guarantee you that. So pay attention to those moments, because sometimes they're gone just like that. And there are all those moments that linger. And sometimes I've had moments you call them, I've had moments last for whole weeks before. But more often than not, they last like this. But you got to be looking for them. And like I said, the fact that you're even looking implies that you know that there's no such thing as an ordinary moment. You know something extraordinary. And the extraordinary, think about extraordinary. You're thinking, oh, the aliens, no. Extraordinary. Extraordinary. It's out of the ordinary. It doesn't have to be spectacular to be extraordinary. You don't have to be the next Messiah to be extraordinary. You just have to be extraordinary. Step outside your comfort zone and you're automatically extraordinary. Because if you're not doing the ordinary thing, then you're extraordinary. It's that simple. No such thing as an ordinary moment. So if there's no such thing as an ordinary moment, how could there possibly be such thing as an ordinary person? Ever, anywhere on earth. In the universe. See, our biggest misconception is to think that everything in the universe thinks as low of itself as we do. That would be a sad place to live, wouldn't it? I wouldn't want to live there. There's got to be more than this. Even if I have to go up one level to get it, I'll go get it. But yeah. Oh, craziness. Well, I hope that the things that I've tried to convey to you have taught you something. I hope you learned something, or maybe you just love the sound of my voice, those dulcet tones. Anyway, if you liked the video, go ahead and click the like button. Favorite it if you want, and if you would like to come back and get more information, I would love that. I would absolutely love that. I love it that I get at least one view other than myself on almost every video. It's like, ooh, somebody cares. Or maybe they just, oh, I didn't mean to go to this one. Oh, but it's still a view. Haha, gotcha. Anyway, subscribe if you would like to keep coming back and getting more of this. And, yeah, hope you learned something. And until next time, hang in there.